60 Minutes with Angela starts right now.
Every year is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. September 10 is observed as a day to promote worldwide action to prevent suicides. And the World Health Organization, W.H.O, estimates that over 800,000 people die by suicide every year. That's one person every 40 seconds. Well, hello and welcome to the program. I'm Angela Ajetumobi. My host today is a convener of a group on social media. The group is on Facebook. It is called Help a Soul Alliance, HASA. It's a mental health non-governmental organization. Now, I invited him here today to speak on suicides. The theme for the year 2018 is working together to prevent suicide. It's a theme that highlights the most essential ingredient for global prevention, which is collaboration. Professor Hope EGHAGHA joins me on the program today. Thank you very much, Professor EGHAGHA, for coming back.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Thank you. You know, when I saw this group, I thought, you're not a psychiatrist, you didn't study medicine in school. So what was the motivation for you setting up a group such as this? What was your vision?
Well, thank you so very much. As you have said, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not trained, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just interested in mental health awareness from the bottom of my heart, arising from experiences around me, some vicarious, some very close. In 2017, we recorded some very visible suicides. Some were attempts, but a couple actually succeeded in taking their life. The popular one, if I may use that word, was that of somebody taking a plunge from the Third Mainland Bridge into the lagoon. He died. Another lady tried it. But the immediate reason I decided to start this was a young girl. I just saw it on social media, Pelumi her name, bright, smiling. I still have a picture somewhere. And I said to myself, why should such a girl who looks happy terminate her life? And she posted something on Twitter, I have to go. I started asking myself, she had parents, she had friends, she couldn't confide in anybody. Why?
Why should she go?
Yes. Why did she take that decision? Is it possible that she gave feelers, she gave hints, but nobody understood her? I then said, perhaps we should create a forum, a platform, where persons who are in distress, persons who want to talk with a stranger who is a professional, without stigmatization. I said that would be necessary. That's the motive behind creating Help a Soul Alliance. We are living in a world that is so disjointed. We are withdrawing into ourselves. There is social media, quite all right. You could be interacting with somebody who is 5,000 kilometers away. But that personal touch is not there. So I thought that we should create this to increase the level of mental health awareness. That's the
and it's a closed group.
Yes.
Is that deliberate?
It's deliberate for now because we want a group that we can control posts in. You know, some persons will simply flood the place with religious material. That is not the idea at all. We have decided at the issue to go scientific. that mental ill health is a scientific thing.
Yes.
And we have to treat it scientifically, not with superstition, belief in taboo, or seeing mental health challenge as a punishment from ancestors.
Yes.
No, so we avoid that. We then said our target is to see whether we can reach 10,000 persons in that closed group by December this year.
Yes.
We're already 3,900. My belief is that if we make one post, and then 3,900 persons see it,
yes.
just multiply their own friends. They would also see that. A point will come when we open it, so that we can hear from everybody, and everybody can benefit from the group.
Okay, so how does it work? Are you trying to connect people who are experiencing some mental health challenges with professionals in the industry, or is it just a place to unburden themselves?
Now, we started about 2 weeks ago, and in those 2 weeks, we have taken calls from about 4 persons, precisely 4, who were thinking about suicide.
I mean, I can't understand it. And I'm coming from a place of knowledge. I would be scared to take my life. It seems so final. What pushes a person to want to do that? The 4 people that you spoke, what pushed them to want to do that?
We have professionals working with us. We have psychiatrists, psychologists, and about 2 or 3 are based in the UK, 1 in America, then the rest are in Nigeria. When we get such calls, I don't refer them to the specialists. One was very simple. It's somebody I've known from when he was a boy. When he saw my post, because I had posted something, do thoughts of suicide come to your mind sometimes? He just inboxed me, said, "You are talking to me." And this was, you look at him, he's a band leader in church. Always happy, singing.
I mean, for you to be leading the band.
Yes, I was shocked. Of course, I kept it low. I then said, what's the matter with you? He said, what has prevented him from committing suicide is the presence of his children. That because he was always unhappy, he now went into drugs, hard drugs, that he needed help. I linked him up with a consultant in the UK, and they've been trying to talk him out of that. At some point, he will need to see a psychiatrist. Now, you take that decision to terminate life when you are no longer in control of the circumstances around you.
Right.
The mind is now weak. You have given up hope. That this is a helpless situation.
Yes.
The mind is already affected. So anybody who takes any action at that time is not fully in charge of that act. Because you've lost your mind.
Yes.
Yes. It is, for most, it is the end stage of depression. Some people could be going through a depression without knowing, without realizing it.
That they're depressed.
Oh, they may not. Because you have bad thoughts all the time, negative thoughts all the time, you're afraid, you are always anxious, you don't sleep well, and you just think, and it goes on 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and the longer it goes, the more challenging it is for the patient. So some people take the suicide decision on the spur of the moment. I can't face this.
And that's
all right.
it.
Yes, and some do it. So what we're trying to do is to create hope for people. You create a platform where you can talk to somebody. My ultimate goal is to set up a physical agency, a building, and then have people come in there, talk to psychologists, talk to psychiatrists on a volunteers basis. For some, they don't need medication, but others need medication. The psychiatrists and the psychologists will tell us that.
Some points you made earlier on talked about punishment from the ancestors. That calls to mind the reasons that we often allude to those who have mental health challenges. Some say it's a spiritual attack.
That's right.
Some say get a grip of yourself, man up. What's wrong with you? Are you the only one having problems? How do we want to change the orientation of people who think like that? I actually saw you respond to somebody. A lady came in the group and said depression is spiritual attack, and you tried as much as possible to educate her on that.
Yes, there is a lot of ignorance about mental health in our society. From the primitive background, I'm sorry to use that
Yes.
word, which we have come from, we are very superstitious. A child has resistant malaria,
Yes.
and you give it an interpretation and say that it is spiritual attack. I've given the child chloroquine, the child does not get well.
Yes.
I've treated the child, no, and they say, look, it's, and the child says, oh, no, it's a spiritual attack. Take the child to the church for prayers. Or somebody suddenly loses the mind, and they say, okay, is the ancestors who are punishing that person. If you look at our local languages, the words for mental health
Yes.
are pejorative. Madness, one, then they say is a lunatic. That's in English.
Yes.
These days they are mild, they don't use such expressions anymore. That's why we now have the expression mental health challenges.
Yes.
Now, in our own language, mine is Urobo Orwe. Orwe is a mad person, and it's negative.
Yes.
We have a proverb in my place, Orwe Forere or Forwa, that a mad person is good for the community, but it's not good for the family. Where will the mad person come from? All right? In Yoruba, they say were. All right? So all of these terms are not positive. There is a stigma attached to it. We blame the victim.
Yes.
When you have malaria, we don't blame you. When you have hypertension, we don't blame you. But when you have mental ill health, we blame you. Say, look, you are worrying too much. You must do this. You must be man enough.
Yes.
You should be strong. You should face the challenges. Here is a man whose mind is already weak. And it is beyond his control. Why blame him? Yes. So we don't blame the victim. Instead, we should try to understand the patient and help that mental health challenges are not caused by spiritual problems. And it is the result of a depressed mind, a disturbed mind. Some are the direct cause of worry. Some are traced to imbalance in certain chemicals in the mind.
Right.
So there are all kinds of medications, some very harsh, very strong ones that they give to persons to help them restore their mind. So when I took on that lady, I was actually addressing the entire world, those who read us, so that you don't have a younger brother, a cousin, a friend who has become suddenly, in quote, mad, and you begin to blame the person. No, we don't do that. That person needs help. And they are professionals. We're also trying to educate Nigerians that there is nothing wrong in seeing a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is just a doctor. It's another doctor that treats the mind. Now, to see how terrible it is,
Yes.
I don't know how dependable the stats are, but someone says that for a population of 180 million, nearly hitting 200 million, we have only 100 psychiatrists in Nigeria.
100?
Yes.
But you know that one of the consultants that I've had on the program, a psychiatrist, says, in fact, it starts from when you want to specialize. Parents resist.
Yeah.
When you tell your parents, I want to go into psychiatry, the resistance is like, are you sure you don't have mental health challenges?
Oh, yes. It starts from there because they feel, one, it's not dignifying to be a psychiatrist. But I have pleasant memories of Professor Adeyu Lambo,
Yes.
who was a professor of psychiatry. And he made his mark in the world. He was deputy director of the World Health Organization. And I believe he was instrumental to setting up the psychiatric home in Aro, the famous one.
Yes.
In Nigeria, I believe one is not dignifying, and then you don't make money from it.
Yes.
How many
Why
people-
do you want to hang
Yes.
around people who have those sort of...
Are you sure you're okay yourself?
Yes.
So we need to re-educate our people. And the government has a role to play. The ministries of health across the country have that role to play.
Yes.
The federal government, everybody. We need to educate people. That is part of what we want to do as a HASA. We would like to create awareness programs, churches, schools. Some of these mental health challenges are a result of contact with these hard drugs.
Cocaine, heroin,
you know, after a while it distorts the mind completely.
Yes.
For those ones, if you're able to take them, arrest them to a health facility, and then they're treated, they stop taking that period of withdrawal, all of that. After a while, they become okay. If they don't return to taking the hard drug. These days, people lose their jobs, and you still have the rent to pay, the kids are in school. For some men, they are challenged. It's only the wife who's earning an income. They take to drinking, all kinds of things, and it begins to affect the mind. So we do know that the stress factor in Nigeria right now is very high. And that is the reason we must step up awareness of mental health. You may just find that you are not mentally all right. For persons who go through traumatic experiences, they need help. Let me share my experience with the viewers. I was kidnapped and I was in their custody for 16 days. And for those 16 days, they threatened me with death every day. And they told me things that were frightening that actually got etched in my mind in spite of me. They would tell me things like they would cut off my head and put my head on a stake and leave it along the road. Or they would dip me into the river, suspend me in such a way that it's only my head. That is, if my people refuse to pay money, they'll leave my head above water, and then ants and all fishes will be eating me, and that's how I would die. You know, how do you cope with that for 2 weeks? Apart from the physical beating. My orderly was killed, and I saw him dead. He was there with the big old gaping hole on his neck. He was bleeding, you know, and then they took me. When I came out, of course I was happy. I mean, for 8 days I didn't eat. But I wasn't really hungry because my mind was terribly disturbed. When I came out, I actually traveled outside the country, but my mind was still not at peace. I came back as beautiful as Dubai was. Bojarab, I went to the 26th floor for dinner. No way. I still didn't feel all right. I came back to Nigeria. And I went to the spot where the incident took place. That was one of my ways of coming to terms with it. I then saw a psychologist for 4 months. What was happening to me? I would have nightmares. Sometimes I'll be in a car. Once we got to potholes, I would feel as if someone was going to shoot.
Yes.
So I went to see a psychologist. She talked to me for a while, for about 4 months, and said, well, I was coping well, and that she believed that with time I would be okay. But I still wasn't satisfied because it didn't go. I then went to see a psychiatrist. I said, yes. He then said, okay, what was happening to me? Well, he would give me medication for 30 days, which I took, and I became all right. But most people would want to go and see a psychiatrist. Why? If you have bone problem, you see orthopedic surgeons. If you have a heart problem, you see somebody who consultant who treats your heart. So why is it that if you have something disturbing your mind that's becoming a health challenge, you shouldn't see a specialist? Some go to the churches, and the churches don't help matters. When people are ill, sometimes in Lagos, we have had cases where a son is ill in Lagos. They then take the son back to the village, they tie him to the pole somewhere, and some terrible people come saying, oh, it's what the father did 100 years ago that's affecting the child. We must exorcise the evil. There was a case I saw in the 80s in Ado-Ekiti. The lady was schooling in America, and she had this problem, and they brought her to Ado-Ekiti to a church. She spoke Americanese, quite all right, but she was not well. And sometimes we wander around the town in an American accent, you know? So you then ask yourself, what makes a family bring a sick relative all the way from America, an Igbo lady, somewhere in Ado-Ekiti? They didn't want to take her to Igbo land, her hometown, so people don't say, their child is sick, their child is weary. No, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just another ill health that should be treated.
Join us again after the break. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetomobi. On my hot seat today, Professor Hope EGHAGHA, the convener of Help a Soul Alliance. One of the things you alluded to just before we went on the break was the fact that, you know, if you have a broken bone, we can see the bone.
Yeah.
If you have malaria, we know the symptoms.
Yeah.
If you have a heart problem, you see a cardiologist. If you're a pregnant woman, we see the pregnancy, you see a gynecologist. The thing with the mind is that it's not a physical thing a bone that one can touch or like a baby a pediatrician will hold. It's the mind. I mean, how do we get around that? And I think it is because it's something we can't hold. We have people saying it's a spiritual attack.
That's right.
Oh, you need prayers. Pray more, completely ignoring the scientific aspect of that illness.
We've rightly identified the core problem. That is the mind. It's not a physical thing that you can get hold of. So when the mind is diseased, you see the manifestations in actions, in thoughts, what people see. That's the reason we must all be aware of mental health. When you begin to react in a certain way, you have to check yourself. Take for instance, when the mind suddenly encounters fear, sometimes you feel like using the bathroom.
Yes.
You know, that fear is the mind, but it then has a problem. It then triggers up something, you want to go to the toilet. And when you get there, maybe nothing comes out.
Yes.
So there is a strong relationship between the state of the mind and the body. The mind is stronger than the body.
The mind is stronger
than the physical body, yes, because it's the mind that controls the body. If you have a strong mind in a weak body, you can do things. But if you have a weak mind and the body is very strong, you won't be able to achieve much. So the mind has to be healthy all the time. Now, there is a relationship between how you think, how you process your thoughts, and what you do. When a man stays up all night and in the morning he starts talking to himself, as he's walking, he talks to himself. At some point, somebody should say, please take it easy. If his family is close, that's when they should say to him, go and see a counselor. If you then say a psychiatrist in Nigeria, say, no, I'm not mad.
Yes.
I'm not mad. So the mind is very powerful. It has to be nurtured. Now, let me say something about prayers. It is true that when you are disturbed and you pray and commit it to a higher force, sometimes your mind is at peace. So to that extent, you can say that prayer helps. That is, you pray, you believe in it yourself. Oh yes, that helps. But to say that you are being diagnosed as having a mental problem, you go to person B to pray for you to remove that spirit from you. That is not scientific at all. All right? So the positive things that happen around us, let's stress them. Let's not stress the negative. If every time in our lives we're always expecting the worst to happen, there is something wrong with us.
Really?
Yes. You're always expecting, oh, the worst, oh, this will happen, this will die, oh, this will this. You don't think about the positive. You have been offered a scholarship, go to America and study. And what comes to your mind? Oh, what if they shoot me in America? Oh, what if I'm going if the plane crashes? Yeah. So when you have good news, the normal healthy mind
thinks of the goodness of it,
not the negative. So people have to be very careful, and we also must recognize that there are professionals who are trained to help the mind, sometimes through counseling, sometimes through medication. Now, another case that happened during this period, through one of the persons I invited to the group, a fertility clinic reached us to say that one of the ladies she was counseling called to say, look, I told you before I would kill myself. But now I'm not going to kill myself. I will kill my husband because it's the cause of my problem. And after killing him, I'll kill myself. This in the last 2 weeks. So when I was contacted, I said, all right, is she willing to talk to a professional? She said, no, she doesn't want to talk to anybody, that she's okay. And then switched off her phone. After about 2 days, she then reached the lady that, well, I think it's okay now. I'm speaking to you, I'm in Dubai. He's bought us tickets, we're on vacation. But the professionals in our midst said that lady still needs to talk to a specialist. She has planted something in her mind.
And it's going to germinate.
In the last 3-4 months,
Yes.
we've seen cases in Lagos where there's spousal violence, wife killing the husband because the husband was cheating. It builds up gradually,
Yes.
and it gets to a point where the lady then says, look, why should a wife kill the husband, kill the 2 kids, and then kill herself? What for? So it can be prevented. This lady who made that call is a Christian. Indeed, I was told that she's a Winners Chapel member, but she doesn't want anybody in the church to know that she nurtured and nursed such thoughts. So we'll still need to get back to her. So when there is enough awareness,
Yes.
when you know that there's a facility somewhere where you can walk in anonymously and speak to a stranger about the problem and get help, advice, because when we finally set up, we'll need volunteers.
Yes.
We intend to create a helpline, 24 hours. That is where we're going to approach the major telephone operators, GSM people, toll-free lines. If you have that kind of problem, because it gets worse sometimes during the night. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., to sleep, all the evil thoughts begin to come to mind. You just call somebody and begin to talk to somebody, and they can finally persuade you to come in, have a chat with a psychiatrist.
One-on-one.
One-on-one, yes. And that helps. That's the way we want to go.
They say suicide is a major preventable cause of a premature death. That's one of the things I got from my research. So if it's a major preventable cause of premature death, that tells me that
it can be treated.
It can be treated.
Yes, it can be. You know, if we then recognize the symptoms,
yes,
if everybody is aware, because I can imagine somebody listening to me now, when I'm saying that, look, you are not able to sleep well, you think that there is no need to live, in the morning you don't want to leave the bed, or when you leave the bed you struggle, you get to the office, you can't concentrate, nothing pleases you. For the men, sometimes you lose the sexual drive. For the women, the same thing. The normal things that you eat, you don't enjoy them. You begin to avoid persons who know you
very well.
Yes. You say, no, there is no need. When those things are beginning to happen, you have to check your mind. All right, you have to see a professional, seek help. There are places in Lagos.
Yes.
There's LASU, there's a psychiatric hospital in Yaba.
Yes.
All right, so those are places where you could go to and talk to a professional. And even if you first have to talk to your pastor, not being a professional in that area, should refer you to a specialist. Just the way there are certain problems that come up, and they will say, all right, this couple, they've been in marriage for 50 years, so you're having domestic challenges, marital challenges, they could counsel you.
Yes.
All right, so when it comes to the challenge of the mind, see a professional, a man who has studied your mind, who knows how the mind functions. There are American soldiers who fought in Iraq, who fought in Afghanistan, and then went back to America. Sometimes after 2 or 3 months, they just commit suicide because of the horrors of what they saw in the battlefield.
Yeah.
You know, so they need
the symptoms are not universal.
They're not. It's a broad range. If I had brought the literature, I would have read from it.
Yes.
All right. There are very many. Some are muffled. Some people tend to manage it very well. Here in Unilab, there is a man every morning. He comes near Senate House and he starts addressing an imaginary audience. 8 o'clock every morning, you get there.
On the dot.
Yes, he's there. I had to ask, was he a teacher here? They said no. He had worked there before he had retired.
Yes.
Every morning he leaves his house, he walks into the campus.
With a tie.
Sometimes there are no shoes. That's when you know that he's not all right. And then he starts addressing an audience, then he starts walking away. So there are different manifestations. Some people are erratic, some mood swings, all right? He's all happy, going, and suddenly, the person has changed for no obvious reason.
Yes.
So there are different manifestations, there are different symptoms, they are not the same for everybody.
So according to the United States Center for Disease Control, they say suicide is the 10th leading cause of deaths in the United States for all ages. They call it a tragic event with strong emotional repercussions for survivors and families of victims. Is it wrong for us to criminalize suicide? Do you think that is a factor that affects it? Because remember the woman who wanted to jump off the bridge that was saved. She's still going to court. You understand? So I keep thinking to myself, perhaps if it was not a criminal offense, more people would come out to speak about it. Because if you try suicide and you don't succeed, you will be charged.
That's right.
By the authorities.
I don't know. From my little understanding of mental disorder,
Yes.
anybody who tries suicide is in distress and should not be further distressed by being arrested by the law.
Yes.
I might be wrong, as I said, I'm not a professional, but anybody who takes that decision, unfortunate decision to terminate life, it is because the person is not well. You know, in the courts, when there is murder and you plead insanity, and the psychiatrist actually pronounces that the accused to be mentally unstable, usually they don't get the maximum punishment. Because they say at the time the person did it, that person was not in control of his mental faculties. So for me, it shouldn't be criminalized. Such persons need help. Now, having said that, we are told that in 2050, suicide will be the leading cause of death in the world.
By the year 2050.
2050, yes. And I was struck by it, okay? Now, it is not only the poor people that commit suicide. Sometimes successful people who just believe that what is there in this life. Now, the clearest example was the CNN chef, Bourdain, who committed suicide.
Anthony Bourdain.
Yes, in France. Women sit in front of the TV to listen to Bourdain tour the world.
Yes.
You know, looking at different cuisines, relishing them. And you thought that man was having the greatest time of his life.
Yes.
And then suddenly you hear that the man hanged himself in France. The mind was already distorted. The mind was challenged. Or the other lady, the fashion designer, who, separated from the husband briefly and then committed suicide.
Spade.
You know, yeah, that's right. They had a fashion line that she sold, was doing well. That's at the high end of it. The statistics in African countries are not so good because it's underreported. Families usually don't want to say, oh, the person killed himself, or they don't want to. But it should be reported. And once it happens, it also should be investigated. Families should not hide it. When somebody is behaving strangely, say it. If the person committed suicide, also say it, express it. Because it helps in keeping records so that we can help as well, help others who are in that condition. If we're able to do that, it will reduce the number. It can actually be prevented, and that's the target of the World Health Organization. It can be prevented. Through one awareness campaign, you reduce stress factors in society. Some of the stress factors in Nigeria today are beyond the individual. But for mental health, you are told, learn how to cope. There should be coping strategies. The average Nigerian now doesn't do just one job because the take-home pay does not take him home. So they look for other things to do to augment income. Just the rent in Lagos, for instance, is enough to scare someone who is just starting life. How do you start? But if you then look back, look to your side, there are people who are surviving, why not you? So there are different coping mechanisms. But when the mind begins to get troubled to the extent that it needs professional help, nobody should shy away from seeking professional help.
Join us again after the break. Welcome back. My concluding moments now with Professor Hope EGHAGHA. We're talking about prevention and the effect of suicide. You've said it doesn't discriminate. People of all genders, age, ethnicity can be at risk. It is not a normal response to stress. So it is a sign of extreme distress.
That's right.
But what about the people you leave behind?
You see, a father, for instance, commits suicide because he were not paid, like the assistant director in Kogi State, the other day who committed suicide. He had a wife and children. You may have ended the problem for yourself, but you have created problems for your wife and children. And if you love them, you should not take that step.
Yes.
Or the young undergraduate who drank sniper because she was accused of stealing stuff in a room.
Yes.
What you have done is to throw your parents and kids into distress. So you may think that it has ended your own problem, but it has created problems for others. Think of your loved ones. Think of your friends. Just know that, believe that, well, this is a momentary challenge and you will get out of it. So don't take your life. For if you take your life, it simply transfers the problem. Is that what you want to do? I'm sure no, you don't want to do that.
They say it is more likely that men die from suicide than women. Is that something that you found out?
No, I haven't found that out.
Yes.
But I mean, just hazard that men have the bigger ego than women.
And the
pressure
breadwinner.
to succeed, the breadwinner, and they are not succeeding in life. So what is it? The typical man says, who is suffering from erectile dysfunction, for instance,
Yes.
if I cannot do that anymore, what is there to live for? No. There's treatment for that. There's treatment for erectile dysfunction because that's also one of the symptoms of extreme mental disorder.
Really?
Yes. At some point you lose pleasure.
Libido?
Yes, libido drops. If you read the literature,
Yes.
that's the reason we need positive thinking. We need to go to places where we are appreciated. We should not allow one statement by somebody to bring us down. We should have self-confidence, believe in ourselves, believe that there is hope for tomorrow. So if you have belief that this current challenge will end, why take your life? So those are some of the issues that should be addressed as well.
And talking about children, suicide is the leading cause of death for young people aged 15 to 34.
I am getting worried by the rate of suicides that some are live streamed on social media.
Live stream?
Oh yes, somebody is committing suicide and then places it on there and you watch the person die. That's what some are doing in Europe. Some kids react to cyberbullying. A 15-year-old girl in Italy took her life because she was being bullied on the internet. So to parents, let's parent our children.
Yes.
Let's make sure that they don't get into sites that they shouldn't get to because they are not emotionally stable enough. Why should you take your life? You ask the question at 15 because somebody was bullying you online that you are ugly.
And you are not physically seeing the person.
No. Then the extreme one, oh, I want to die now, and let people watch it, and then they take the life. Then sometimes the Facebook management gets wind of it, and then they terminate it. But at other times, it's already there.
Yes.
One thing I've noticed is, it will seem that as we continue to publicize suicide cases, it tends to, in a very negative, ugly way, glamorize it. That it is a way taking an exit, very dramatic from the world.
Or calling attention to oneself.
Yeah. It is a call, that is it. Suicide usually is a call, but it is after the fact. There's a young man in Lagos now. When he was in the university, he was accused of stealing a book from the library. Actually, he took the book from the library, which he wanted to use, and then he was expelled from the university. And he attempted to commit suicide. So reports came back to the university, and the university moderated the punishment, converted it from expulsion to rustication for a year. He came back, completed his program. He's a businessman here in Lagos now.
Yes.
Another one I posted there.
Yes.
Mother was leaving the house in the morning. The son saw her off to the car, actually carried stuff for her, put in the car. She went out. By the time she came back later in the day, the young man had hanged himself in the bathroom. And she said that they were very close. And I said, you mean he didn't give you a hint?
Any hint. And that is very, very scary for any parent, that your kid could be harboring this thought and is not talking with you.
Right.
What do you advise for parents watching us now who have children of these ages, 15 to 34, even younger than 15.
Younger than,
you
yes.
know, and who want to reach out to them. I mean, I can't just go to my son and say, I hope you are not thinking of killing yourself. Come and talk to me.
No.
You know?
We should be friends with our children to the extent that they will not see it as a threat if they confided in you.
Yes.
We should not allow our children learn things outside the house. Let's teach them at home. These children are extension. They are blood and flesh. Let's not be harsh on them. Like another story that came out.
Yes.
The young boy who committed suicide because the mother was always comparing him.
The 24-year-old boy.
Yeah,
Yes.
always comparing. And then he said, okay, and they left a note. They've always compared. Now I've left. Enjoy the world. Another one in the secondary school, that was a girl under 15. You know, she also committed suicide. When she told the mother things, the mother didn't believe and said, get out. He said, who are you? She committed suicide. So let's listen to the children, all right? And let us not create what we want to hear.
That's very good. Don't let your child want to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, you know, let them feel free and say things. And you don't react violently. It's like if you discover you have a problem, that's like your child. You have a problem, a psychological problem.
Yes.
You have a financial problem. How would you react to yourself? This is your son, this is your daughter who has this problem. This daughter of yours was raped and she's now pregnant. She can't tell you because you will get angry. Why did you allow yourself to be raped? That shouldn't be the problem.
Yes.
No. This child must confide in you, and then you profile a solution. That child will look up to you. That I was in a messy situation, and my parents helped me.
Yeah.
So if we create that atmosphere between us and children, then it will help a great deal. Some children, anyway, are very secretive.
Yes.
The children are all different. Let's not compare them.
Don't compare one child with the next.
Yes. Because they all have their own destinies, so to speak. They all have their mindset. They have their biological composition. What they took from you as a father may be different from what the other person took. So different things happen. There's a point I would like to make.
Yes.
I'm also told that we need to investigate this further. There are some people, some families are more prone to mental ill health than others.
So is it contagious?
No, it's not contagious, it's genetic.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, that came out on the platform. A professional gave me that. Said some families are. So you find that there's a history of mental illness in some families. Yes.
That could be one of the reasons for stigmatization.
Right. That could be, yes. You know, in the early days, if you wanted to get married,
yes, they go and investigate.
Do they have, in quote, mad people in their family? All right, that it's not everybody that breaks down or goes down with mental health.
Okay,
issues.
so it can be genetic.
Yes, that's what the professional told me. I still need to but I believed him. He didn't have cause to mislead me.
Yes.
Some people are more prone to it than others. So if you have 4 kids and they behave differently, take them as individuals. That this person is starting fast, the other one is not so fast, the third is slow, the fourth is a combination of all. Take them as they are. Don't compare one with the other. See your brother or see your sister. Oh, your sister has gotten married. You are turning into an old maid in this house.
Yes.
Is that supposed to help the child? No. Look at your brother. He was always among the first 10 in class. You always this. I was watching McCain's funeral this morning, and we are told that at the Naval Academy, he was a fifth from the bottom. But he's one of the most celebrated naval heroes in the 20th century.
Today?
Yes. I mean, look at the burial they gave to him. He was fifth from the bottom, not among the first 10. So let's not push these children to the extreme. Let's be part of their lives, not an intrusive way, but in a loving way, because some parents can be so intrusive in trying to show that they care, that they love the children, to go to the extreme. That should not happen. But mental health is very important. The mind has to be well nurtured.
Yes.
Your mind needs to grow well. You have to sleep well, reason well. And in order to do all of those things, the mind must be balanced. And there are professionals who are there to assist you, to talk to you, either through counseling or through there are all kinds of medications available to help the mind. and the mind is not well.
Yes. I want to read something that you wrote on August 31 at 5 a.m. That tells me you were up already.
Yes.
The definition of mental health by the World Health Organization, you say mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. You also go on to say, if you have never experienced depression or you haven't read about it, you may never understand how a victim feels. The mind is more powerful than the body. It can play tricks on a victim. A depressed mind can see things or hear voices that don't exist. So, when someone says, someone is telling me to do something in my mind, it is real.
It is real to that person.
Right.
They actually hear voices. There's somebody who was saying to me, this guy didn't go beyond secondary school.
Yes.
But he was saying, he was quoting a line to me, if you listen, you will hear.
That's deep.
Yes. Because when he kept telling me that he heard voices, I said, okay, write down what you heard. One of the lines I remember clearly was that if you listen, you will hear. You know, so that got me thinking. I had to do some research into it.
Yes.
That yes, you hear the voices, but they are not real. It's the mind playing a trick. The professionals call it psychosomatic disorders.
Yes.
Where something that you have thought about mentally begins to manifest physically. Sometimes you feel heat on your right leg, and they say sometimes you feel itches. You know, for some, even some rashes break out. Yes. Because the mind is so tight,
Strong.
it then rashes come out from the body, heat under the feet, running fever. For some, they tell you there's as if there's a worm. They will say, there's a worm moving around my head. There's some interaction with people who have mental health issues. So that's the reason the health has to be stable. The mind has to be stable for you to function, to look after your family, to go to work, to enjoy the pleasant things of life.
Yes.
And if the mind is not stable, if the mind has such challenges, then one cannot fulfill the real potentials in life. That's why mental health is very important.
Yes.
We talked about stigmatization. We need to do away with that. We must come to terms with the fact that anybody, just anybody, could become a victim of a mental health problem. Highly placed persons, some are on proper medication all the time, but you may never know. They will come to you. For some, it's a lifetime thing. They are told, yes, you must always go for checks.
Okay, so it's some of these things, there's no cure. It's not like malaria, you take the injection for 3 days and then you are better.
No, some are cured.
Okay.
Some are. It depends on the level. From experience, I haven't read it. The professional will tell you, but from what we see, there are some who go through it in 3 months.
Yes.
They are taken to a home, treated after 3 months, and they get out at home, they are nursed and they take the medication. After about 5 months, they're okay.
Yes.
It never comes back. Except perhaps those same circumstances that produced it in the first place come up again. There's a likelihood that they'll come. But there's a point you don't take the medication anyway. You are then told, then face the challenges. That's when they begin to talk to you. Therapy. It's very important. Do this, do that, exercise, think positively, relate with people, and believe in yourself. That's when they begin to talk to people. But at that point, you can manage on your own. We don't need to see what the so-called madmen along the streets. It's a breakdown of our norms. Yes, we shouldn't see them. It's common now. Every city in Nigeria you go to, so that's a madman. Oh, that's a madman. Oh, that's a madwoman.
And it's something I'm told medication can stop.
Of course. You alluded to it before we started the program. There are some so-called spiritualists who line them up.
Yes, and with the begging bowl.
They're begging and all of that. No. I'm told that there is a program in Delta State. There is one man who takes them in, they treat them. After a while, we support them, they go back into society. So that is what we should be doing. Get them all off the streets. We don't need them on the streets because it's treatable. But some people will tell you, look, we have not cared for those who are well. Is it those who are not well that we are going to look after? But any society in which you have the so-called madmen, roaming the street is an indictment on that society. It's a failure of the social system of that society. We have a responsibility towards those whose minds are not functioning well to assist them. The man who has a broken leg can assist himself with a wheelchair, with crutches. But the man who has lost the mind, how can he function? He can't. He needs help.
And it's not written on the forehead.
It's not.
Just as an aside, you did therapy with the psychologist for about 4 months.
That's right.
Before you moved to the psychiatrist. How did your wife react when you said...
because I told her everything.
The family wasn't worried that, why are you moving to a higher... Because the psychiatrist seemed to be the higher level.
Again, it depends on the level of information, ignorance, and knowledge.
Yes.
If you are dealing with people who are knowledgeable,
yes.
you go where?
Yes.
It's not madness. We gave the example of soldiers who have gone to war. When they return, sometimes they sleep and they see dead bodies, what they saw, and then they wake up screaming.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes. If that person then says, I want to see psychiatrist, the wife should not find. So you go and see psychiatrist. I just knew that because I've been reading it up right from very early in life. There was no subject I didn't read. I talked about medicine. If you think I could talk about this subject, but I will always say I am not a professional.
Yes.
All right. So this caught my attention, as I said, after the Pelumi thing. I had done some essays in The Guardian about depression, about suicide, and the editorial board of The Guardian, where I do part-time consultation. We also discussed it. The fact that it's increasing, it's now being publicized, almost glamorized.
Yes.
And let us stop it.
There's no glamour in suicide.
There is not. It's a weakness of the mind. We are not talking about the honor suicide during the war by the Japanese who say, okay, suicide bombing, as they do with Boko Haram. Down they say, oh, if you do that, it will take you to heaven. All right? Those are wrong approaches to life. The Japanese did it. Suicide is an indication that the power of the mind has failed. It is not a show of strength.
Yes.
It is a show of weakness. That is the reason, ironically, in most African communities, anybody who died from suicide was never buried. They used to throw the body into the bush, evil forest. That if you buried a suicide victim in the belly of the earth, it will pollute the earth. Yes, so suicide victims were never buried. They were never honored in death. All right.
Because burial is an honor.
Yes, but these days the culture is different. They still bury and then leave it to, because how do you throw a body into the bush in Lagos, for instance? So civilization, modernity is gradually overtaking that. But if you go to the hinterland, those people, in fact, in some societies, I'm sure you have read Things Fall Apart.
Yes.
It was visitors, strangers that had to come and take the body of Okonkwo. Yes, the man who had become a hero, the spokesman for the community, strong, but he committed suicide after attacking the district officer. He hanged himself. The people of the community would not go and bring him down from that tree. They will bring in visitors, go and bring the body, and then the body will be thrown away. The honor of a decent burial as a titled man for 7 days will not be there.
Yes.
So our own traditional society frowned at suicide, never tolerated it. But modern world, people who do it, like Bodin was given a burial, the spade lady was given a burial, people going there, showing sympathy. It's a different world. But anybody, if you are there, sometimes it occurs to you, it comes to your mind, should I just end it? Should I go and buy a sniper? Should I just take a knife and stab my heart? Should I just, no. Once you begin to do that, know that your mind is very weak. Seek help from a professional. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor EGHAGHA, for coming and enlightening us on this matter. September 10 is World Suicide Prevention Day, and October 10 is World Mental Health Day. So 2 different days. It shows you how important the topic of suicide is. Thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.